under the new management. In accordance with its contract, and this to me is something that we all should be looking at as we look at these issues, White River donated 5% of the profits to charitable and cultural organizations, held bi-monthly roundtables, meetings with environmental and neighborhood groups, participated in community programs, and purchased over 12% of supplies from minority-owned firms, local and minority-owned firms. The partnership was awarded the United States Conference of Mayors 2006 Award in Excellence and has received many others awards because of the success and the commitment to the local community by the utility. Whether you're in Indianapolis or Sub-Saharan Africa, effective planning from the start is a key to success as you go down the road. And fundamental to that process, that planning effort, is the notion of cost recovery. Cost recovery has got to be recognized. You've got to identify the right mix that will allow for sustainability of the project. In the water sector, we often refer to the 3 T's, tariff, taxes, and transfers, including official development assistance grants. These are some of the sources of revenues, and they need to be at a level where the recovery of costs can take place. Prices must be affordable and equitable, but they also must reflect the cost, the true cost of water and of delivering water. Demonstrating a workable model for cost recovery is essential to attracting other investments, including ODA loans, bonds, and private investors. And it's possible even in the poorest parts of the world. In the developing world today, people deprived of water services are forced to buy highly priced water from informal water vendors. They aren't regulated, there's not much oversight, and they pay up to 25% more for a liter of water than those who have tap water services delivered to them. What the poor usually lack is the means to pay for a hookup, for the hookup fees and for the monthly charges of the water. What's needed is a way to lessen the impact of such charges and to provide for lower income households while still allowing for the cost of recovery. One way to do that is to designate a portion of the money saved by entering into a public-private partnership to go to helping programs for low income, and providing low income assistance is just one approach. A well-regulated public-private partnership can also help put some distance between a municipality and its ratepayers for doing unpopular things that need to be done, like raising rates. No elected official ever wants to raise water rates. It's a loser, even when the rates are low and the system is chronically underfunded. A partnership or some other government structure, such as a board, helps put some distance between the elected official and these difficult decisions that have to be made and make them a little easier to get done. The United States, by the way, is hardly a model to look to see how to do this right. We do not pay anything near what we should for the cost of water. $1 in the U.S. today buys some 375 gallons of water, compared to it would buy 88 in Germany, 111 gallons in the United Kingdom, and 132 gallons in France. So we're not close to reflecting the true cost. A 2002 survey by the U.S. General Accounting Office found that about a third of the drinking water utilities in the United States were not generating enough resources to cover their full cost of service. Perhaps a more telling study came from EPA when I was there, which calculated that American households spend more on carbonated soft drinks, some $700 a year, than they do on wastewater and water charges, which average about $475 a year per household. Americans also need to get the message that a highly subsidized water or wastewater system is not a sustainable one in the long run. The paradox of successful public-private partnerships is that the comparative advantage of private providers is the greatest where governments are the weakest. At the same time, the risks entailed with private providers are also the greatest where the governments are the weakest, as there's little oversight and management of the public need and what is essential for the public good. The key to getting around this paradox is capacity building. All stakeholders should focus on building the capacity of civil society to engage meaningfully in the dialogue that must take place. They have to be able to influence the privatization and both the public and be able to hold the public and private actors accountable for what's going on. As stated in the Dialogue on Effective Water Governance, the water crisis is mainly a crisis of governance, or largely a crisis of governance. Communities can and should play a significant role in the contracting phase, and incentives should be provided for mobilization and effective monitoring of programs at the local level. Success for a partnership requires private enterprise development, capacity building at the local government level, and community development and organizations to develop monitoring and supervisory capacity. They are all essential to going forward. Private sector participation also doesn't relieve governments of its basic responsibility to provide safe drinking waters. Governments should not rush to enter into a private partnership so that they can cede the ownership of water and management of water just for the sake of relieving themselves of some dollars. Water is a fundamental element of life, and provision of water still remains a part of the public trust, even though there is a role for the private actors to play. There are a number of good resources, obviously, that people at this conference can go to, and I'm sure they know all about them. One of them, I chair something called the Water Policy Institute. We're going to be coming out with a paper very shortly on public-private partnerships. There's a checklist for public action at OECD, all of which are important. There's an expression that's sometimes used by those who have been in the public sector or serving the public sector that says, no margin, no mission. While public-private partnerships are not an ideal solution for every situation, they can provide a viable solution for an effective framework for addressing the lack of public investment, as well as some of the operating inefficiencies we see in the public sector. In some cases, these partnerships can provide the margins that allow us to be successful and meet the basic humanitarian needs that we have, and will get us to the point where we can ensure that every child can grow up living a healthy life and reach their full potential, and that all those who participate in civil society are able to participate fully and not have to worry about accessing clean, safe, and healthy water. This conference is one of those that can help raise the level of understanding of the importance of this issue and the fact that it transcends all geopolitical boundaries and is, in fact, a world crisis. Thank you very much.
I thank Her Honorable Governor Christine Todd Whitman, the former governor of New Jersey, the former administrator of the United States Environmental Protection Agency for the Office of the President of the United States, the head of the Whitman Strategy Group and chairperson of the Water Policy Institute, for her very interesting, rich, substantive, special address that she delivered at this special session of the International Conference on the part of the World Water Organization on the subject of the water and global health. Now, if Madam Governor is allowing me, she could take some of your questions for this very substantive and interesting conversation. Those of you may have any questions, if Madam Governor agrees. You're most welcome. Just raise your hand and we will make sure that whoever is interested given a chance. Madam, please.